Well, I certainly hope nobody here made plans for after today's broadcast because we are going the distance here in lower round 3, determine who's moving on to the lower finals. Honestly, I kind of thought at a point, Wyatt, that YFP were a little cooked. The refrag, they were doing so well. They had the lead, and YFP slowly but surely brought it back and are going to close out Haven.
Yeah, evidently on Haven, YFP are the definition of they had us in the first half, not going to lie. This is the second time that they've just been down and out, and then suddenly, huge comeback on Haven to win the map. They did it against Shopify, they've done it against Refrag, and they did it this time on the other half. So, sure, they decide to turn up on one half. Whether it be attack or defense, every time they play this map, it was a sick comeback.
Look, I'm telling you that there's something about these players that make them catch fire. We saw it a little bit in the first map, but this one, I mean, everybody was on one in that second one. Particularly Marceline, Corrupt had their moments. Everybody really turned up, and I think as well, some big misplays by Refrag in the end. Like this round in particular, the one that we just saw where they all went and played post plant off the site. Yeah, the retake was very strong there from YFP, but nobody contested whatsoever, and you end up with a defuse like that. So, well played by YFP, and Refrag needs to be able to close out maps like that, because that was in the bag.
One of those rounds you think about when you're trying to sleep at night, like, man, if only, but hey, this was so close and a true testament to both these teams. YFP going into this, I think we talked about a clear favorite. The Refrag being able to push them to this limit, and even just going across the board, Wyatt, looking at the scores from the map. I mean, this was, even if there's a couple mistakes, like, these teams were shooting.
For sure, and still, it remains to be the case. These YFP players, as far as the mechanics of aim, it is just nasty. I mean, I feel like I'm about to repeat what Bala just said, but yeah, it's like at any given moment, even Elaborate at the bottom of the scoreboard had some crucial multi-kill rounds, right? And their ability on defense to play for some of those flood situations and the big set retakes with that composition, having the multiple stuns from the Neon and the ability to get in off the breach was just so potent, so strong for them.
Yeah, and IFE and being able to get these shots and being able to have that mental to bounce back when we got to see that comeback come together, really, really showing true. I mean, looking back at around, what was it, 19, 21, 22, if my memory serves me right, the later half of that, Wyatt, these retakes and like what YFP was able to string together was just chef's kiss.
And it was really Marceline being able to create so much space on the Neon in these situations. Heads up moments like you saw Elaborate there, sort of almost like reflanking, picking off that flanker, and then they're able to just focus forward here. These retakes were fantastic, and yeah, multiple of them were the crucial element of being able to bring this game all the way back. That crazy diffuse stick that Elaborate had over towards C. Like, Refrag, they were able to get the spike down. They were able to penetrate into the sites, but this post-plant play, it was just way too good.
And this one too, I mean, this is what I was talking about. Look at all this retake util, it's very good. Millie even does well to get one, but then everybody else. There's no flank here coming from Refrag. There's no, nobody holding garage at all. Everybody just falls back in this position. And yeah, there's some maps you could play like this, but C-Long is so difficult in these instances, especially there where Refrag, again, still have the tools to play spam. They'll have the tools to play up on that, and there's no counter util that you could use. Like, you think back a couple rounds before that, right, where you had that ult, that Sova ult going down long A. If you had these tools, you could play in those situations, but without them, all of a sudden you're looking like sitting ducks.
Yeah, and someone who we talked about when we're looking at this comeback, and even just at the beginning of the series, was Marceline. We ought to talk a little bit more, especially maybe the impact wasn't quite as flashy as we've gotten to see in some of the other games, but I think especially like more near the tail end of that, even just Wyatt, I'm thinking of that last round, just the confidence to swing around the corner. I mean, it was a slow but gradual warming up. I
mean, just look at the difference in the stats between the first and second half. Crazy turnaround. Double ACS, over 3x the kills, over 2x the KDA. Huge turnaround for that second half. Again, so much of it was on the retakes, being the tip of the spear. making that space for her teammates, but then also just finding the kills off the setup from the initiator utility that was coming in was the driving force of that comeback. Just such a display of that mental fortitude, the ability to keep yourself in the game and even elevate your play despite such a tough start.
I mean, I think of that mental fortitude, and I'm thinking back to when YFP was able to take down Shopify Rebellion on this map, and it was also a comeback there. I mean, YFP, when we're looking at Haven and Bala, their past experiences with it, this has been a map that has been so strong. So even if it was a little worrisome at first, being able to have that mental and everything in the back pocket, especially when you're having this Marceline that's warming up, that fares so well for even just the momentum going on forward in the series.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you remember back to the first map, what it was like 18-3 in terms of first skills, first stats. Like, very, very big difference here. And I think a big part of it is Marceline coming online, right? You saw a lot of those on defense in that second half. You saw a lot of those interrupting types of plays as Refrag's going for these defaults that just weren't there on Bind. So if we continue to see that, it's going to be, again, you're seeing these questions and teams have to answer them back and forth. We saw it in the first map from Refrag. All the first kills that they're getting here, all the really, really nice plays from Emluel on the Lurk, those just don't exist. And now it's YFP asking the same question, like, how are you going to deal with the fast tempo that we can inject into the round at a moment's notice?
I mean, the question that I have is who's going to be closing out this final map in the series? Who's going to be moving on into this lower finals? Because ahead of the series, and even just this entire main event, it's been talks of YFP closing out that last one. They have the momentum, but, well, I don't know why. This has been a close series through and through.
For this third map, it's one that both teams are typically floating, but both look really good on. Both of them actually had gone up against Mesos Millionaires earlier in the tournament, who more often than not were first picking Abyss, and both of these teams actually picked up a win over them. So I think it bodes well for the level of play that we're going to see here. And Refrag in particular, you were asking, Arten, for more of that proactive lurking, flanking from Emluo. There was that in spades in their match the other day, so I'm looking for that turnaround from her. She does need to keep up that high level of play, step things up here on the final map if they want to get into the top three, have a shot to make it, through the lower final to the finals.
Yeah, I'm looking forward in particular to the duel in mid. A lot of teams battle over that space so that they can then focus on holding down the extremities, holding down the lurks that are going on. So whoever's going to be able to, Marceline, Millie, whoever it is, the smokers oftentimes get up involved in that. That battle is going to be crucial. Whether it happens in mid, whether it happens anywhere else, I'm definitely looking at that one. Millie so far has not had a big stamp on the game, but she's going to have to if they want to take it over and actually get through that top three, which nobody in the server right now has been able to do ever.
It all comes down to this one final map to determine who's going to be moving on into the lower finals and who has the dreams dashed away right now. So it's time to head into Abyss. Final map for the day, and for the final time, head on over to your casters, Doug and Baby Bay.
Oh, thank you so much. We have had a wild time for the last couple of hours, and for things to end on Abyss, as Sierra so eloquently put, hopes and dreams die at the end of this series for one of these two teams. We're 45 minutes away from kind of seeing how things pan out, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Dre, a pleasure to share this call with you. What are your thoughts on the comp so far?
It seems pretty standard, nothing new. I'm a big fan of the Harbor Omen on this map. I mean, I said it the last time that YFP played against Mesos, and really the only thing that both these teams have in common is beating Mesos on this map. They have no history playing Abyss against each other whatsoever.
Feeling area.
Start to see some of the Harbor utility. We're going to talk about that a lot. This map, this wall sectioning off. Middle of the map, you're already seeing the door cleared out to give them a little bit more room to work with.
All this is to spread the defense thin. Have to have multiple eyes looking at mid. That relieves a lot of pressure from the actual sites. So when you do go for an exec, either A main or B main, there's not that third player that's ready and geared waiting for you quickly. And honestly, just taking this free mid space as well allows you to formulate whatever type of plan you want. Looks like it's going to be an A lean right now. No info right now for the side of RF.
But they're ahead of, I mean, you just saw that refresh smoke outside of A main. You're going to try to split that way, but Millie's in a really good spot too.
As you're being faced by 2 members, and she's going to be cut off by that second harbor wall that's about to come off.
Ahead of the smoke, the paranoia too, but again, the timing on this is really nice. Oh, but Millie gets caught anyway. Tried playing on the other side of the smoke. The flash through over the top as you see all members of YFP flooding out onto the site. Kaiser and Emluo, the only 2 that remain from a very far distance.
Spike planted.
And there's just so many smokes on the site, even for the post plant. You have a cascade to follow up once that wall goes down into CT. Another Omen smoke into heaven. And this is going to be one of the most impossible, I was going to say one of the most impossible 2v4s, but that chakra did a lot of damage.
Emluo, 1v3 all week. 1.
Oh,
Almost hits the second. There's the tap. Not able to connect. I thought there was a moment there where we were going to have something special, but Elaborate stops it. YFP get the pistol.
yeah. That's a super cool strat. Taking their time as well. Excuse me, bro. Was YFP.
No, you choked up. I get it. Beautiful.
I choked. Yeah, but taking control of mid slowly was YFP, and then leading into the A split with the different layers of smoke and just the sheer bodies that they have. It was honestly well coordinated. The timing was perfect. And Illuvili tried to sneak into that smoke in CT to try to catch members off guard as they're running in, maybe throwing utility, but just couldn't quite connect with the classic right click.
Second pass at the same wall. Comboed with a dart. A little shaky on the first. I thought Elaborate wasn't going to be able to settle, but nicely done to dispose of Illuvili.
Is the smokes player down and out for the count, so now YFP can afford to contact even further with that outlaw or these vandals if they wish to. And they're playing the map really well right now, Doug. This is looking like they have a really deep understanding of how to approach this attacking side with the double controller. A lot of conditioning already being shown, defaulting being shown to work.
Scanning ahead.
Explain that to me and to viewers at home a little bit more, Dre. What is it about Harbor that allows that kind of conditioning, especially on a map like Abyss, so much better than, say, a Viper or another agent like that?
Well, you essentially have 4 smokes, right? You have the orb, you have 2 cascades, and you have the wall that comes up. So you could actually have more than 4 smokes within the round. So you could afford to use the harbor wall to take space like a Viper would regularly, and then have it again for the next execute. And you actually want to show where you're going. Or use it to paint even. You know, there's so many possibilities with this character's kit, and his ultimate on top of it all just gives you a free B or a free A site. Or so it should feel. Obviously, you can dance around, you know, the concussive blast in the water that's being shown, but it's still very hard to do so. And you're able to isolate different types of angles, different types of fights. It's such a unique character.
We'll see how much more they continue to lean into that and play that to perfection.
Right here. Scanning ahead.
This is such a good buy as well. This time they're using an Omen smoke to cover a broken door as they slowly creep up. This is the first time they've taken really aggressive space in mid, and this is why the Omen smoke is here, is to get close with the judge. There's the cascade to scale even more, Doug.
Again, a cool idea.
Super
with the
cool
judge
idea.
on the other side, yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay out, but you can, I mean, you were talking about it earlier, Dre, and I think that even that kind of highlighted it. They have a lot of really cool ideas with how to execute this comp.
Yeah. Super cool. Even that little cascade right there barely covers over the top. Marceline gets taken out.
Spike planted.
Honestly, RF have done a really good job weathering the storm of what has been this unique harbor utility.
Oh, they have this round at least.
Yeah.
And they're still not out of the woodworks quite yet. Corrupt and Elaborate still in a position here, but Emluo's position even better. Again, the timing outside of these smokes. Emluo, you know, the Deaths talked about it a lot. Corrupt's left in a 1v2, not able to save that round as Refrag get on the board. The Deaths talked about it a lot. We talked about it a little bit in the cast as well. Emluo has been exceptionally good, man.
Yeah, she's been insane. I mean, she was kind of fallen off a little bit towards the end there. If Haven couldn't quite close it out for her team. But can't help but feel like she feels an immense amount of pressure because a lot of the success of this RF team is behind those opening entries that she does get. Sometimes that can make you kind of force the fact a little bit more than perhaps you should.
Well, perhaps a little bit of aggression here towards Elaborate. You've got a flash setup and a slow walk out. There could be a pounce here depending on how they try to play this. Or they just hold the line. That's exactly what Refrag are doing.
Flash doesn't connect, but Elaborate will. She's just going to get out of dodge here, Doug. She has support as well from Corrupt. All of a sudden, RF have to back up, and that's your smokes player down and out again, Doug. It's really tough to come back in these rounds.
Exactly where you are.
You don't have controller. Not even the jet smoke covering that entire choke. Like,
that second cascade is starting to come through. Marceline's already fallen. And they're not going to allow any entry into A. Even on the other side of the opener from Elaborate onto Aluvli, this is very nicely done.
I wonder right now for Melia if you're going to do that. A connector smoke, break the door, kind of fake like you're going back towards A. The spike actually being towards B, but the camera does get good info. The rotations are coming out, and Melia hears everything right now, Doug. She's calming everything for her
30
team right now.
seconds left.
Might even get away with more than just info. Yep, that's one kill found. Oh, and they've gotten a little bit aggressive here. Second smoke through. The fake TP. Yep, beautifully played.
Wow.
And now there's going to be an even later flank.
Yes.
Because as soon as they turn their attention back towards B, they can retake this space.
Actual
Melia has just put on...
masterclass.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to call it. Unless they just get turned on to close the round, which would be tragic. Mluo falls. Millie does too. I mean, the late flank isn't even...
Hold up.
Well,
Maybe we're going to get it.
A tap.
It's
Dart
coming.
cleared. Knife in hand, and Riv has an idea, but no real way. Melia does get it to close out the round. YFP gets a 3.
She got it, but what a nice job, honestly, just being in that lurk spot, and everything was just a constant flow of communication. Hey, they're rotating here. They just got here. I'm going to cut off a rotate even. I'm still going to keep a player here for the retake. It was so nice.
Left.
And here it is. Here's the replay. You get the kill. Omen TP away. Smoke yourself out. Hit the late flank to secure the round no matter what. So many different win conditions in this round for YFP. They're continuing their hot streak.
Found them.
This time they're ahead of this wall, and they've cleared the dart, so they know that there's at least one around here.
Yeah, but the problem is now B is free off of that pick from Elaborate. This outlaw has been absolutely tearing through the defense right now. This is a different type of YFP, Doug. Is that a no-scope?
Yeah.
Is that a no-scope?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is terrifying here for Refrag, because you compare how this has gone to Haven, for example, where Refrag really felt like they had a plan. They had a lot of cool things going on. They were able to get an early lead over YFP. And even when YFP was kind of fighting their way back into this, I think this timeout makes a ton of sense. Refrag were showing some metal.
Yeah.
This has not been that.
No, not at all. And you know what it is with this YFP team? And this is what I was going to say earlier is this was the same story 2 days ago, Doug. They ended up chopping the first map. The second map was shaky. And then the third map was just completely dominant. It's like once they get that pressure off of their shoulders, they're able to perform at max peak. And they just go, they go crazy.
Yep.
This is why they're a part of the big three, as we like to say, me and Athena. But
bro, y'all
seriously,
really trying to get that to stick, huh?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. YFP big three for sure, all day long, baby. But YFP, I mean, if they want to qualify, for Berlin, I mean, they gotta win it all, Doug.
Yep.
They have to win it all.
Yeah, break down the scenario for me.
Yeah, so in terms of points right now, even if FlyQuest get third against YFP, you know, thinking that YFP make it out of this, of course, obviously, with the way that this series has been going, you just never know. But FlyQuest have enough points, even if YFP decide to beat FlyQuest on that day, FlyQuest make it through. If YFP cannot beat Shopify. So that's how it goes. That is how the story goes. They have to win everything from this point forward to make it to Berlin.
Which in some ways makes it very simple. You know what you have to do. The fate is kind of in your hands.
Take flight.
But unfortunately, while simple, it's not easy. They have to win out.
They can tap into this type of team, the confident one, where they do everything correct. They're all firing at all cylinders. This is when this team looks the most deadly.
Wait, they don't know. Emlo was in such a good spot. The dart was too deep, and I thought Emlo was going to be able to get the best of Marceline, but still nicely handled. Oh, that was almost disaster.
Still
Now they're going to
44.
invest, and they're investing the Hunter's Fury too. Scary Shark applying a little bit of pressure. That flash is not going to help them. What? Still getting one? Elaborate trying to take a step back as they try to bring Rift back into the fold. Elaborate on the early swing. Aluvli forgets that. Don't worry about bringing up your teammate. Get the best of Elaborate. That's exactly what they do.
And yeah, you use 2 ultimates to come back into the half, stop the bleeding a little bit more. But on the other side, I mean, I'm still surprised that Nora hit that shot. That was insane. And this entry from Marceline as well.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's actually just cracked.
Goes there.
This shows you how much RF has to do to win these rounds. They have to just do the most. YFP, they got some shooters and they're all turned up at this very moment. Perfect timing for them, even though they lost the last round.
Marceline getting tagged up pretty badly to start things off.
Trades across the board once more. Key difference here is those trades were off of a default. This drone in mid is going to get a lot of info on the Scary Shark. We know the Harbor's in mid now.
That's dangerous, but what a shot!
Ah, the double
Right
dip.
here. Scanning ahead.
Paid out, though. But it's not paying out anymore. Corrupt on the counterpart. And now that's a free spike to be planted.
Yeah, that well is run dry.
There's 2 cascades still in play right now for the side of YFP. But Corrupt is doing most of the heavy lifting.
Trey, they're running away with this.
Yeah.
This feels so decisive. I mean, even expecting the flash on the other side of the harbor wall and Corrupt waiting that out, knowing what was going to come, repositioning around on site as beautifully as they just did. And then obviously hitting all the shots. That's the most important part. But man, they're clicking.
Absolutely. Just everybody on point right now. And the game plan going into this map has definitely been just running circles around RF. This mid pressure, it just can't be handled right now. You have to send so many more players there. And the only other obvious solution is to have, you know, your Cypher cam there and your Cypher trips, but then all of a sudden your A and B site get even weaker.
This is interesting. Aluli's going to get ahead of all of this utility. I don't think the knife would have tagged. Meanwhile, the knives going up. The Cove to provide some cover. There's going to be a really late flank coming in from Aluvli. Again, the pacing on this is everything. You got to hit the shots. A little bit messy on the first 2. Gets a shot at a second, connects. All of that was off of Aluvli not getting tagged by some of that early utility from the dart and the wall combo that they've been doing every single round.
Yeah, and it wasn't pretty.
Your fault.
But you still got the job done. But problem is the
I
round's
know
not done yet.
exactly
Marceline has a free B site. That neural theft, that's going to be full info right now for the attacking side. That B site is still open and free. And that trip getting hit at A is making RF spin in even more circles. That's why you see Millie looking towards that middle of the map, but it's a slow walk out of heaven for Riv, who just gets plucked out.
That's a tough thing too, is, well, not able to, yeah. This is getting dangerous. An Outlaw is not the weapon you want in a position like this. Again, it's on Corrupt, and now position going to be given away off of the neural theft. That shock's going to hurt. Oh, it just barely misses the mark. 16 HP for Millie, getting one down. That's Emluo.
Oh.
Now the easy job is left, and Corrupt's reading it. She's patient, and she is. 3 fall as the Red Bull clutch comes through, and I mean, we can call it a clutch, but Dre, that was almost a thrifty.
Yeah,
It works out for YFP anyway.
Yeah, YFP dodged a bullet there off of the back of Corrupt. But still, I mean, Corrupt is playing at such a high level right now. This weird little cheeky off angle on top of the ledge and crouched. There's no way your crosshair is ready for that. It leaves Millie in such an awkward spot. You have to hit a crazy flick to secure the round. It's just too much to deal with. YFP, this pressure, and now this attacking operator. This is something that Elaborate has shown in the past. She pops off with it, Doug. She honestly buys Outlaw and Up as much as she can on this map.
Yeah, I respect it.
I suggest you move.
A perfect Harbor wall for this execute and Harbor ultimate. It's a free A site. There are trips in play though.
One cleared, the other one has not yet.
Okay.
Not connecting on that up shot, just narrowly missing. There's the second trip. That's 2 misses. You don't get many more shots like that. Yeah, Riv was like there, but still alive. Still in the fight. Meanwhile, Corrupt getting 2 with the ult.
Now a drone with the Silver Duck to follow up. Elaborate. He's going to take out Riv finally. It's just so tough to play against. And maybe a little bit of miscommunication, maybe a little bit of tilt from the side of RF. A lot of people just jumping the gun a little bit too early there. That Omen Smoke was not able to come out in the choke at A main to deny that operator from getting value.
They feel really outclassed here, Dre.
Yeah, it's tough.
This feels like the first time that Refrag really... It feels like YFP are head and shoulders above here. And I know it's only 5 rounds, and I know a lot can change, but a lot of these smaller things that aren't going their way, it feels a little bit more indicative than just, oh, momentum is going the way of YFP here.
Yeah. Last time RF won this map was against Mesos, and they only were able to get 5 rounds on the defensive side. They were able to win out on the attack, but I just feel like with the way that the game feels, YFP have a very, very strong read of how RF like to approach this map.
I mean, even that situation right there.
Yeah.
Aluvli tries to get, yes, it's an eco, but Aluvli tries getting pretty aggressive as far as positioning goes, and it's perfectly read by Melia.
And all the different layers that are being shown. Sova just droning here to keep 2 players A while everybody's already walking towards B. Now the exec is coming through right now. Mluo will take out Marceline.
The sheriffs again, causing problems. And as has been the case, Refrag gets something to give you a little bit of hope, just a glimmer. And then as soon as you're lulled into thinking there's a shot at this, YFP slammed the door on the damn thing.
The problem is it's only been on these sheriff rounds, on these ecos for RF, where they've actually looked competitive and looked like they've stood a chance. Those sheriffs can only get you so far. You're still outgunned. You're going up against an operator. Flash doesn't even connect. Elaborate is feasting on this half. This YFP, this confident version of YFP. This is the team that looks like, you know, they can take maps off of Shopify. They can take maps off of FlyQuest. They need to tap into this earlier on in the series that they play, Doug. If they could play like this consistently, they would be up there. They would be a force to be truly reckoned with.
And, you know, maybe some people just like drama.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe some people just like drama, and maybe that's just how YFP like to play things. And but for whatever the reason, it's better late than never. There is no way for Refrag to make any aggressive play towards A main.
Yeah.
This Cascade and then Dart combo towards A main just denies all of that.
Eyes down.
And then in general, you just don't want to peek out because there's an operator in play, right? That allows YFP to walk all the way up B and cut off the rotations. It's just a masterclass. Just say it again. Keep saying it.
It's off the rails. I mean, it's off the rails, yeah. What do they do? They're once again broke. They have to save.
It's nothing. Just got to pray that you get the last round of the half. At this point, anything helps. And, you know, it's just tough for some of these teams. You know, I'm not sure if RF has a coach and et cetera, but You don't have the complete structure around you, and you lose the way that you lost on the last map after being ahead.
One enemy remaining.
It can be so hard to bounce back from mentally.
Blocking sight.
And it really does look that RF have just run out of steam.
Yep.
Last round before the switch.
What they kept finding their stride to keep things competitive, but you know, you mentioned it, we can call it a couple of different ways. They run out of gas, they, whatever it is, that hasn't been the case here on Abyss. They haven't found that gear.
Yeah, usually it's off of the back of like heroics from Emluo or Illuvili with the anchoring.
Yeah.
Right now you got Kazler sitting at the top, who honestly played great on that Haven map as well. Finally, now we're seeing some aggression, but
Camera taken out.
it'd be a little too late. And even so, the operator at the other end of this elaborates, still popping off, still dropping bombs.
And she's doing it on her own. That was her own cam setup. That was her own setup. There wasn't like a crossfire setup or bait from anyone else. That's beautiful Cypher play.
Exactly where you are.
The Cypher ultimate too. As if they needed even more of a clearer picture to paint.
Spike down.
Yeah, the Outlaws
Last
going
player
off
standing.
to... We talked about hopes and dreams ending just a few minutes ago. I didn't realize it was going to end in nightmare, not like this. I mean...
Yeah, with how the first two maps went, so competitive, so close. The never-ending battle. One team wins 5 rounds, the other team comes back, wins 4. But this has just been a complete obliteration, a complete stomp. YFP, elaborate. Sitting at 18-5 on the Cypher. That's another benefit of running the double controller. You kind of allow your Cypher to take certain timings on her own. She's able to look for more duels. Doesn't have to play for the team as much. This pistol round, it's dire for RF.
Yeah. We talk about must wins. That's about as best as you can possibly say that. This position's really nice from Melia too. I mean, why would you be expecting the Omen posted up in the cage? This is a great response out from Riv though. It's fallen down to a 2v2. Illuvili has nothing but a classic though. Full armor, or light armor, excuse me. So a chance to take a little bit of damage. And unbeknownst to Illuvili, it's a 1v1 on the site right now. A little bit of noise made. Now the second swing coming through. And that might be the final nail in the coffin, Dre. YFP, they're running away with this.
Yeah, this is going to be such a hard round to eco as well for RF. You're going to probably see a bunch of Outlaws in play for YFP. And a bunch, I say, just one, I guess. But look at the weaponry diff. And if you're RF, I don't blame you for trying to buy into this, but Sheriff full armor, it's just not it, Doug. It's just not it. We'll see if I bite my words here shortly. Can't help but feel like it's going to be the most uphill of battles. And Melia on the Omen on this B site. We saw so many different things. That same smoke in the pistol round, this time playing in it with a judge. Scary Shark, easy pick'ems in A main, all one by one. The 4K to close out the flawless round.
Match point.
A whimper for refrag this map. And that feels bad to say, but it really just kind of describes the situation. And this multi-kill, yes, it was against an eco, but even the judge kill at the beginning of the round really just kind of put a punctuation mark, an exclamation point, if you will, on the whole situation. I mean, the timeline is accurate here. The timeline really does tell the whole story. And now you've got refrag on this hobbled by, put together like Frankenstein parts in order to keep your season alive.
Just full sending it up mid, all 5 members. Surely this is the end right here, but Millie has something to say about it. Is it enough though, Doug?
A little bit of pace could be overwhelming. Scary Shark, remember, was the massive wall in the previous round. This time falls. They're upgrading weapons along the way too. Corrupt and Melia, 2 left standing. In the face of a ferocious 4, they're fighting to keep their tournament life alive.
One enemy remaining.
It's all into Melia now.
Yeah, the last
They're all
remaining
weak.
member alive.
They're all weak. Dre, this would... I mean, I guess it doesn't get any more devastating than being knocked out of the tournament, but...
Yeah. Okay, we
32
got,
HP.
We got there at the end. Well, some
32
players are low.
HP. Yeah. Well, they've all been low. That's what makes it so concerning. But 2 bullets left. There's not a lot of time. Slammed shut very quickly. And it doesn't seem like RF are going to drop any of these weapons either.
Yes.
So they keep what? Bulldog, a Guardian, and an Outlaw into the next.
Yeah, and then remember, this is YFP's bonus. So they have a full buy going into this round. So still full advantage the way of YFP. Everything to work with right now. They could really take their time if they wanted to.
Remaining.
Should be no pressure at all for YFP to close this one out. Not just yet, at least.
Yes, this is a nice spot.
We'll see if RF can string some rounds together here and maybe put up a little bit of a fight. Don't you love a good fake comeback, Doug?
Right here.
You know how I feel about those.
Feeling
Interesting here. The harbor wall from YFP, not as deep. The last couple rounds it had been a little bit deeper and it had been from A main, but this time they dart behind it. They take all of the space. They've invested the reckoning. They've got him corralled and controlled. They've got him in the pen. And they might be dealing this final death blow right here and right now. And they might do it with all 5 standing. YFP make a mockery of refrag on map 3 to stay alive and advance.
Jeez. The flank in mid, everyone corralled, everyone crunched up on that site. And it was just perfection from the side of YFP. I mean, dropping the bonus round, you're supposed to lose that. Yeah, maybe not to share a full armor buy, but you got there nevertheless. And congrats to YFP. That was a hard-fought series. I mean, it really could have been a 2-0 the way of refrag, and I'm sure there's going to be some nightmares haunting all those remaining members going into next year. That's a tough pill to swallow if you refrag. You were so close. So
It's a long off season too, man. You're right. There's a lot of time to think about how that went down. And I think we can mention that a little bit on the side of refrag, but then also for YFP, talk about, grit. Talk about getting hit in the face and then punching right back. They could have lost on Haven. They almost lost on Haven. They look dead. And they just roar back in a ridiculous manner to carry that momentum into an absolute stomp on Abyss. What a ridiculous performance. They're going to survive. They're going to advance. We're going to a break. You guys get some water. There's an interview on the other side of this. Do whatever you got to do, but you're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you guys soon.
well, when we look back at this series, the first two maps being so close, expectations for the third would be the same, but YFP had a completely different plan for this. From the get-go, they set the pace, they took off running, and they didn't slow down. I think that bodes so well for them being this top 3 team, the one that could get the upset. For Refrag, it was devastating.
No, honestly, I think we're playing all the general highlights, but the very first one that we've seen was really the most important. It was simply Melia standing in mid, killing a rotate. That was the story of the entire half. Pure map control from YFP, always dominating over mid, cutting off the rotates, getting free picks there. That Harbor was paying dividends as far as the map control game went overall. So much pressure was being applied by that early wall that was being placed, faking out like they could be controlling one part of the map and then executing elsewhere. It was a great attacking game plan from YFP, and it worked exactly as they drew it up.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about the battle from mid right off the bat. I mean, starting off on pistol round, inserting somebody deep, that sort of thing is crucial to maintaining a good game plan going forward, and that's what they did. So, I don't love to see the way that Refrag went out here, but I love to see the way that YFP closed out this series. I mean, dominant. And this is what I'm hoping for from these players. These players, again, to reiterate, they can heat up. We've already seen them take down FlyQuest in a third-party tournament. We've already seen them take a map off of Shopify in a fashion that we saw in this very series, a comeback on Haven. And now here, they make it to the top 3 for something that hasn't been done by any of the players on their team so far in GC. For a new team, this is incredible stuff to close out the year in such a fashion, and they're still in it. They could still go further. So really, really important that they get big wins and their emotions continue to rise.
Especially when you're looking at the upset they need to pull off if they want to find themselves at Berlin. Being able to end off this final map with such confidence, I think, is so huge. And looking back at this map, I mean, they played lights out. But Wyatt, even looking back at the composition and how that was able to enable them, that was just a huge difference right there.
Yeah, I was so impressed by the game plan with this Harbor. On this initial round, look at the wall on the minimap. It just faded, but it's sent up at the top of the round, so Scary Shark can pressure all the way up here, get all of this space. Cove goes down, so they can just stay alive, go back towards B, meet up with the team, and then go into this full execute that they had been doing. Dark cover for Heaven. And then here comes the cycle of that Harbor wall. Again, it's going to go up to cut off all these angles deep on the right, get some safe passage up, and then this A-site execute that they were going for. Look at this wall again. It cuts off Heaven, cuts off main perfectly, and then the ult, the Reckoning on top of that, just to get the site for free, and still always controlling mid, cutting off the rotates. Elaborate didn't get the kill there, but did get the leg shot at the very least. They were just controlling the map everywhere. Like, always control of mid. The wall was getting so much value on the executes. This Harbor game plan was really fantastic.
Just Refrag, they just didn't have an answer to it. And it was a Refrag that we've gotten to see that confidence through the series, and going up against this Harbor and everything else, it wasn't clicking. And for it to be ending off that way, I mean, it happens, but it's not just the comp. I mean, Paula, talking about the players, Elaborate was someone that managed to get that one stick defuse over in Haven, and then changed momentum. And then now, all right, well, also just popping off in the server.
Absolutely, this player was dominating in crucial moments earlier on in the series, and then over on this map. I mean, Wyatt's already pointed out some great examples of them controlling mid. Controlling the extremities, but yeah, every single time there's a flip, Elaborate's the first one on the other side of the map, leading the charge, right? If there's not a flip, they're the ones really providing pressure down mid. There's so many of these instances where, yeah, like Wyatt said, picking off every time down middle there. How many op kills did we just see when there's nothing else going on other than the hit on the site, where they're just looking down mid, free kill, somebody's rotating, easy clap. Look at these stats. Fantastic play from Elaborate, and yeah, disappointing from Refrag there that they're not able to actually adjust and do anything against it. But when you're doing so many things so well, it's difficult to get a handle on even just a single one of them.
Yeah, it kind of be like that sometimes, guys. It's simply due. For it to be in lower round 3 here for qualifications, definitely a little heartbreaking. But of course, we have to talk about the victors and talk to the victors. We have our Verizon post-match interview now. And on the line, we have Nora, the scariest of sharks over there.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing? Especially, I want to talk about going into that third map, because this was such a close series. And that third map was just incredible. Was there a conversation, a turnaround going into it? Is this just really strong for y'all?
I started explaining like Warhammer 40k lore and just talking about like the orc race. Like they have a wall where they just like charge forward at the enemy. And I just like every single round just like said wall. And we just kind of like walked at them and like just W keyed the whole entire game. Was our game plan really?
I really hope you're
Warhammer.
serious. Please tell me.
I am.
All right, I need a second after that one. All right, so where was that then earlier in the series? Because starting off, we look at this bind that it was really close but then dropped, and then this Haven with the turnaround. I mean, what kind of happened to those first beginning maps? Was it just a refrag that was popping off? Was there something maybe in YFP not quite clicking?
I mean, I've always explained our team like we're like an acapella group, where it's like if one person's like shutting down, we like end up playing like a 0v5 and we just like shut down as a team. So it's just like, yo, like getting back in tune with each other, feeling each other out, and like playing the game from there.
Getting like pitch perfect vibes now. Just like, you know, it's like a bunch of chaos at the beginning and all of a sudden it's at the end. Happy ending, but going on forward then, you're now finding yourselves in the lower finals. YFP, we've talked about the top 3 teams. And you're now in the top 3. You're up against FlyQuest, who's been chasing Shopify, but you beat them in the Neon Dreams Invitational. So how do you feel ahead of this lower finals?
I don't know. I'm just tired. It's been like a long week. I forgot there was like a lower finals. So I was like, oh, we won. We're done. I was like, oh, another match. Yeah. Just taking it like second by second. I'm just so tired.
It might even be 2 more matches if you win tomorrow. So we'll keep this short and sweet then for you. I'll let you get some rest. It'll be a big day tomorrow. Nora, congrats on the win, all right?
Bye-bye. Have fun. Have a good night.
You too. So real. It's so real. I mean,
relatable. I know.
Yeah.
Martin, I know you relate to that one, buddy. We're about.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
We're about 2 hours past Unk's bedtime.
It's
he needs to go to sleep.
It's very true. That time is 9:30 sharp. Okay, we're way past that. I appreciate it.
I blame them for taking to a map 3, all right? At least YFP, they were able to clean up that map pretty quick so you guys can
I get some nice streams
all
now.
right?
Great game. That was awesome.
Perfect. I mean, everyone's going to have to rest up because looking ahead, Game Changers is not done yet. Now, tomorrow, we have the lower bracket finals. Earlier on in the day, we got to see FlyQuest get knocked down into that lower finals. Now, YFP moving on forward will have an opportunity to play up against them. And Wyatt, so like, tier list has been right. I mean, it almost looked like it wasn't true, but so far, there's our number 1, number 2, number 3 spot.
Yeah, it would definitely be remiss to not at least briefly give Refrag their flowers for their performance in this tournament. They succeeded in making it past their prior performance in Series 2, where they finished 5th, 6th, this time making it into 4th place. So still, congrats to them on that achievement. They did show up, but YFP coming through as advertised. Effie's in that interview earlier in the day after Shopify won was giving them props, expecting them to be one of the top teams, and you know, we saw exactly why that is the case. We haven't gotten to see them against FlyQuest yet in Game Changer Series 3, so excited to see how they're going to stack up in the lower final, though obviously they have, you know, met in the past.
It's different stakes now. It's a very different look at this because for FlyQuest, they can make their way into the grand finals. They have secured their spot to Berlin no matter how it goes. Losing out tomorrow means, well, their destiny is all in Shopify Rebellion's hands, which is a very scary place to be. So lower finals, why it's happening tomorrow.
A couple of players on that team know how that goes too. When it's something that's in Shopify's hands at the end of the year, uh-oh. No, that's a must-win game. And honestly, at the beginning of the series that we just saw, I would have been like, okay, I think FlyQuest got that in the bag. But the the YFP we got on Abyss is something to be trifled with. It is now something to be trifled with.
Especially YFP have now discovered the secret of the explaining the Warhammer lore and the Urks and all of that. I mean, they've cracked the code. So it'll be a series for tomorrow. But I know y'all are tired. There is a match that we need to be for to watch. So we're gonna be wrapping this one up. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You guys for crushing it, production for crushing it, and all the players for putting on a wonderful show. Be back here tomorrow for their lower finals. See you then.